signal.
Okay, it's working out. All right, I think we're here. Hey, Grace. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I just thought it would be fun to jump on and ask you a couple of questions about your event this morning.
Sure.
So firstly, thanks so much for organising it, because I personally found it really interesting and informative.
Thank you.
So tell us, first tell us about Not-for-Profit Connect, just briefly, and what you do with the events.
Yeah.
And then we can get into this morning's event.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So NFP Connect is a network for not-for-profits, and basically about 4 or 5 years ago I was working for Royal Institute for Deaf and Blind Children, and I got a coach pro bono, and I was getting all this amazing resource and support from these coaches, but none of my peers were doing it. So I wanted to start a little event to help I guess bring peers together and business speakers who are community minded to come in and talk about what they do to be better at business. So it's just like this little snapshot of education for people that work in the not-for-profit sector to help them connect and support each other. There's a lot of collaborations that happen from this network, and then we bring in different people to come and talk on topics that are relevant. So this morning's one was Beyond Bank. So Beyond Bank is our major supporter of the breakfasts, and they're a beautiful group of company that supports us but also supports the community, and they spoke on their B Corp Certification.
Oh, so if you've never heard of B Corp Certification, I'm sure you're not alone. Plenty of people haven't.
Yes.
Give us the 5-second overview about what B Corp actually is and why you might be interested in the certification process.
Yeah, so I guess the ethos of B Corp is purpose before profit. So we've got it's a movement that's happening in Australia. There's only 240 of them in Australia, but 2,000 currently being assessed in Australia to become B Corp certified. And the bank has to, or any certification, has to go through a legal structure where they have to look at their community, how they give back to their community, their environmental, their governance, their staff, and their customers. So how they prove that they put purpose before profit when looking at those elements.
And it was really interesting to see some of the stats that Shane from Beyond Blue put up about how companies that are B Corp certified perform.
Yep.
And that from a corporate point of view and a commercial point of view, I find that interesting, because certainly a lot in our work, we're trying to convince people that purpose is important, and yet this morning that from the commerciality of doing something like that was interesting.
Yep.
Can you describe how not-for-profits specifically fit into that picture of the B Corp certification?
Yeah, I think it's the new way in which we've got to do things. So for not-for-profits, it's really around, businesses are asking them to think more about how the shared value works. So gone are the days, and there's still a little bit of it, where it's just, you're a charity, we've got profit. As a business, here's a charity, we'll give you cash. They actually want to have shared value. So when you've got businesses that are actually really considering how they value, impact the community in a positive way, it's good for everyone. So you're just really looking at for businesses and to be thinking more like that, where it is that purpose before profit, and then for communities, it's really around this is where we've got to get to, and businesses are sort of leading the front, but charities really need to start working out, and that's what this kind of environment and network is all around. Is around how do we communicate better so that we share value together as a community and do it like we, move forward together.
Absolutely.
Basically.
And I think too it's a really good environment for learning, because there's lots of lessons learned from commercial organisations that not-for-profits can put in place, and equally there's an awful lot that not-for-profits know how to do well that commercial orgs can put in place. And I know from our point of view we're passionate about how those two worlds come together, because I think that consumers and employees are way too discerning, and in the future you're just not going to get away with it as a business to try to operate without any kind of focus on purpose.
And with I think with the structures around government funding and all that sort of stuff, that's changing a lot as well. So charities are actually having to be pushed into this sector, but they're not being taught how to do that. And that's kind of what I try and do, is help them work better with businesses, and then I work with businesses like you to work better with the charities and connect them to local charities so that they've got this shared partnership. But it's not just about the shared partnership, it's if a business wants to partner with a charity, how do they then educate that charity to teach them how to fish, not fish for them? Yep, so it's about that kind of...
because ultimately it's all about self-determination at the end of the day, isn't it, in that process. Cool. Thank you. And if people want to get in contact with you, Grace, how do they do that?
So just go to the website, nfpconnect.com.au, and that's pretty much it.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.